This ain't a Bleach review. This is just something that I've been wanting to do involving Bleach, and it's gonna be a discussion video about the Quincy's. And before I get into that, I just want to give a huge shout out to Nerds Jelly Beans. These shits is on deck. The first thing I want to talk about concerning the Quincy's is them as antagonists. First of all, now in chapter 513, I think it was called the Dark Moon Stroke. Ichigo lands in front of Juha and he says, "Are you the enemy's leader?" And Juha retorts, "Enemy? Huh? I am, but at the same time I'm not." And some people took that to say that there was another guy above Juha, which I highly doubt because Yamamoto recognized him. So that's how Juha looked 1,000 years ago when Yamamoto and he fought. So it would be stupid for somebody to be above him, but Yamamoto recognized him. So that would be kind of weird. I took it as the Quincy's don't look at themselves as being enemies. You know what I'm saying? Or antagonists in that manner. I looked at it that way. So their role as antagonists here is very, very ambiguous, especially when also, I think it was 517, I think, when that Weave Guardian woman, can't remember her name, it began with an S, I know that much, with the fake hands, the woman in the Royal Guard, she said Sosuke Aizen is evil, but the Quincy's are even more evil. I didn't even worry about that means that Aizen's role was going to be like reversed and some type of way he's going to have some redemption. That's not even my concern in that aspect. And what she said there to me struck me as odd because in a way what she's saying is the man who wanted to destroy everything to become God isn't as bad as the people who want to take revenge on us for us wiping them out. That doesn't make sense to me. Let's use this as an example. In column 1 we have Vegeta, and in column 2 we have Frieza. And according to the Shinigami, in this instance, if we use these two as modules, we use both Frieza and Vegeta as models for this experiment that I'm doing. According to the Shinigami, Frieza is less of an antagonist than Vegeta is. We can both agree that in the beginning, Vegeta was an antagonist, Frieza was an antagonist. But according to the Shinigami, Frieza is less of a villain than Vegeta is because Vegeta is going against what's considered the norm in that instance. So Frieza being a tyrannical, genocidal maniac, put that down. Vegeta going against what's considered the norm, the genocidal, homicidal maniac being in charge, him going against that, that's more of being an antagonist according to the Shinigami. So with that being said, it's no clear like decider as to who is the antagonist or who is the protagonist in this particular pairing between the Shinigami and the Quincy. In the past arcs, it was clear. It was a clear visual as to who the protagonists were and who the antagonists were. With the Hollows and with the Karakura Town arc, it was clear that the Arrancar were just clearly the antagonists and the Shinigami were clearly the protagonists because the Arrancar wanted nothing more. Some of them just wanted total destruction, Some of them just wanted to, combat loneliness or just follow someone strong or some shit like that. But for the most part, they just wanted to just wreak havoc, and just follow Aizen's orders upon wreaking havoc. But in this instance, the enemy isn't as clear. To me, it's almost exactly the same way as in the Soul Society arc, because the Shinigami in that instance were the antagonists to Ichigo, but at the same time they weren't necessarily bad guys. So in this instance, I'm gonna have to say that the Quincy's and the Shinigami are both antagonizers to one another, but nobody is clearly in this instance the hero or the protagonist, except for Ichigo. The other thing I want to talk about is the balance thing. According to the Shinigami, the Quincy's are a danger to the balance because according to them, Shinigami govern the souls between the human world and Soul Society. And if the balance ain't kept, then the world is going to be destroyed apparently. Or both worlds are going to be destroyed. And it basically breaks down is that all souls, including Hollows, are governed by Shinigami, and Shinigami actually purify them and send them to the Soul Society. But Quincy's completely extinguished the Hollows. So if they continuously destroy the Hollows and not purify them, that means that the human world will be heavy in souls, and yeah, the souls in the human world will be increased, and no souls will be able to pass on to the Soul Society, and that means that the Soul Society would just spill over into the human world, mixing life and death, and that would result in the end of the world. Now, if the Quincy's know that, then I'm just gonna automatically say, yeah, they are fucking antagonists because they don't care. If they know that, or if that is true, then they are just douchebags, and yes, they are villains. But we only heard that from Shinigami. I don't, if unless Urahara or Aizen really confirm the shit, I can't even really take that as like fact, because I can't imagine Quincy doing shit like that willingly, like knowing that it will cause the destruction of both worlds and just not caring, because their duty is to protect humans, you know, from being destroyed ultimately by hollows. So if you're destroying the hollows, then that could ultimately lead to the destruction of the human world. Why continue to do it? Purify them. Now, also I need to say that I don't know if it's been talked about or discussed, but it seems to me that the Quincy's are able to purify hollows but choose not to. Because, again, this was in the anime, so I don't know how true this is, but in the anime, apparently what happened in the past was the Soul Reapers actually explained this, and the Quincy's were like, we shouldn't give mercy to beings that killed our fellow Quincy, so we shouldn't give them mercy. There's no way that they should be purified and let into the Soul Society, so we're going to continue to destroy them. So in that dialogue, it sounded to me as though they could purify them, but I just have never seen them do it before. But again, that's a totally different thing. But if the Quincy's know that they are a danger to the balance, then they are truly the antagonists. But at the same time, I don't know how verified this is, because it, you know, I just don't know how that even makes sense. Like how that even could happen, just because the hollows are being destroyed. Souls aren't going to the Soul Society, but it seems like it's more humans in the human world than hollows in Waco Mundo or something, you know, to that nature. So I don't understand. So like, humans die anyway, so wouldn't they just die and go to the Soul Society? You wouldn't have to like constantly increase the number by killing hollows, because humans die by like the millions, if you know what I'm saying, like every day. Like every day humans die. So I don't understand the whole it's gonna be a disruption of the balance thing. And it also sounds like to me that the Soul Society just wants its numbers to be kept up, because it seems like that this will only have an effect immediately on the Soul Society and not necessarily the human world. Another thing I want to say though, on some real shit though, is does hell even matter in the Bleach universe anymore? And don't count that fucking movie, that don't count. But does hell actually matter? It was shown or mentioned like twice, but other than that, nothing. So does it matter in Bleach anymore, or are we just skipping this shit? The last thing that I want to talk about is Juha Bach. At first, I really thought Juha Bach was just a douchebag. He still kind of is an asshole, but he's not that much of a douche. Let me explain. In the beginning, when Ivan and that other guy was there, with the piercings going down his face, I honestly just assumed that those two guys were just, Quincy's and nothing else. He was blowing, arms off and blowing heads up, and they did exactly what, he told them to do. So I was just like, wow, this guy's a pure villainous antagonist type of guy. And he's saying he's doing all this, for a notion of peace, which is weird. But then I thought about it. He's a Quincy, and Quincy's hate hollows. So that explains his reasoning for doing what he did to them, because Quincy's hate hollows. And then I was kind of like, okay, Maybe he's not that bad of a guy. But then the shit happened when, you know, Lloyd, or whatever the fuck his name was, switched places with him and he ended up dying, you know. And in the beginning, I was thinking he was a douchebag because the other three Quincy's kind of jumped in to try to fight their own motor, you know, and he was like, this shouldn't have got in my way, but that was Roy Lloyd, or whatever the fuck his name is. That was that guy. So I can't even really say it was Drew Harbach's personality, but he did kill Roy Lloyd, but it seemed like it was in a way to put him out of his misery more than anything. Because like I said, he seems like he not genuinely cares, but he seems like he doesn't want too much harm to come to his subordinates, if I can say that. And I say one reason I say that is because in a way, he tried to slightly protect either Hashval or Ichigo from the other person. In that same chapter 513, Hashval tried to walk up towards Ichigo, but Drew Harbach was like, no. And then he says to Ichigo, are you gonna really fight me with that tattered body of yours? You know, so you can take that as saying, hey man, you too weak to fuck with me right now, don't do it. Or you could take it as him, you know, just berating Ichigo. But I took it as him saying, you know, you too weak to do this right now. And then in the end, you know, when Ichigo awakens his Quincy powers, he's like, you need to learn about your mom, and I will eventually come for you, my son born in darkness. So he looks at his Quincy as family. You know, he even calls him my son born in darkness. Now, whether that's, you know, meaning more than just, you know, my fellow Quincy, or he could have some actual relation to Ichigo, you know, that begs to be the question, you know. But it seems like Drew Harbach isn't, like, again, this goes back to the whole, he's not a clear villain in this. He is an antagonist, but he isn't a clear villain in this situation. So that's just my thoughts on the Quincy's in that aspect, because like I said, they're not clear villains, and they antagonize the Soul Reapers, but at the same time the Soul Reapers antagonize the Quincy's as well for the shit that happened all those years ago. So, you know, there's that. And let me know what you guys think about this video. If I even upload it, I might even upload it. So. But let me know what you think about this video, man. And I'm gonna try to do another video, probably like 5 minutes after this one. So we got a lot of shit to talk about now. I'm kind of bored at my house, so you know. So let me know what you think about that, man. And thumbs up and all that type of shit, man. And